We are recording. All right, so any other questions about last week's assignment or anything? All right. One or two of you said you had worked on code for this assignment. Who was that? Was it Charles maybe, and I don't know, Brian? I don't know.
I mean, I had sent you something, I think. Yeah, I
Okay,
did.
yeah, it was you. That's right.
Yeah.
What did you work on exactly?
This week, I think code-wise, I just did a timer. And
Okay,
I added a few more things to my level, a few more traps and stuff.
that's cool. Well, let's talk about stuff here. Let me share content. Your screen. Chat over here. All right. Let me know how big a lag there is, right? We were experiencing a huge lag yesterday, and Brian came up with a good way of determining how bad it was. When if you can see my clock up here, and you can look at your clock there, as long as your clock is correct, right? You should be able to tell me how bad that is, right? So, how is it laggy right now?
No, it looks like it's working good right now.
All right, well, knock on wood. All right. So, what am I doing? All right, like I said, my brain has been trying to work on this project for the last couple hours, trying to get it down. So, let's look at what I have here. And while this isn't a programming class, several of you are, I think, consider yourselves to be pro. How many of you are programmers by what you consider yourselves programmers? I know Emma's an artist. Katie's more of an artist. I think that's Jacob. I'm not. I know Brian. Well, Brian's kind of on both sides. Right? Charles, are you a programmer or more than an artist? You're more a programmer, right? Don't remember. Caught in the middle. All right. And Jacob, you are programmer. All right, cool. All right. So most of you are programmers or both, right? Which is good. So we'll look at what we're doing here, and I'll show you what I worked on. All right. So I'll just run through this real quick. Yeah. All right, so we have our awesome start. You can tell that I'm not an artist, right? All right, so whoa, that's pretty loud. All right, so there's our fancy timer. There's our end zone over there. Running towards it. All right. Boom. Probably we should have some kind of feedback and sound. We'll get into feedback systems in a couple chapters actually, which are very important. You should always have feedback when important things happen. I didn't get a chance to do that, right? But it does have a play again button, and if I click that, it does in fact start the time over, and it puts me back at the spawn location. With that, that's enough to allow you to plop that stuff into your game, into your terrain, and it worked, right? So that's what I don't have yet, right? If it times out, it doesn't end yet. I was trying to get that in there, and it got up about 12 o'clock, and I had to actually post them assignments and do all that kind of fun stuff too. Right? So you'll note that it'll go into negative numbers there, and the formatting and the numbers isn't what I want either, but we'll get to that. All right, so let me stop that. Now, how did I do this, right? So one issue I had, right, if anybody's tried to do any of this, anybody try to make a start button and get it to start with that simple first person controller? Okay. One issue I had, and I had forgotten about this, and I don't know when it became an issue, but one thing that I had, this is my, all right, and also if you want to look directly at my code, right, you've probably if you've downloaded the whole project, it's there anyway, but I did actually put the code just in, sometimes it gets in the way. Of course, it's right there. Right, let me move this so I can see it. So I did put these in here, right? So it's just the end zone and the game manager. But I did quite a bit of coding this morning, right? Let's see, what was this cursor visible true thing, right? And the cursor lock state. That's pretty important, and I don't know, there's something changed over the last year or so, and the last time I did this I had an issue with it and had to figure it out. But like, say if I the menu, let's say I don't do that, I'm going to just comment a couple things out. If I do that, right, I'll just test it over here. Let's try that. You'll see what happens. I think you'll see what happens. All right. Oh, or maybe you won't. All right. That's awesome. All right. So I took it out here. This is the code from that first person controller that we're using. That whatever it was, simple one or what it's called. I commented that out because I'm doing that in my code. But if you come in here and do that, and so you might want to comment that out in yours, but that is in my project, so you shouldn't have to do that. But just for future reference, if you were to do this yourself, you would have to do that. Now it should break it, but never did. All right. See, I don't have a pointer anymore. See that? Right. And I can't. So I can't. How do I click on the button if I don't have something to point with? There's no cursor. You can hit escape, but see, even if you hit escape, the cursor comes back, but you can't click on the button. It becomes unusable, right? So you have to deal with that in code, unless if y'all can find an easier way of doing it, then hey, let me know. My default answer to everything is working code, but there may be some way of doing it in the inspector. I don't know. I always kind of default to code because that's the way I think. Anyway, you have to comment that out so that what the cursor mode lock does is when you're in a first-person game, you don't usually see a cursor, right? You're just moving around, and you don't want to see the cursor really because it takes out the immersion from the game, right? So you have to put that back in, especially in a PC game, right? So that they know where they're clicking. Obviously, there are games that don't use cursors, and there's other ways of getting around the UI, right? So that was my fix. Let me go back and fix my uncomment those though. this changed game state should look familiar to you. Yes, everybody's been through 113, so you've probably seen this before. It's kind of my setup, right? In changed game state, generally, the main thing it does is make sure that all the UI is in the correct state, right? As you see it down here. Feel free to kind of steal this code for future games if you want to, right? And my update follows this similar pattern. There's just less code there, right? I generally create, and I haven't done this yet, but an update function for each game state, right? The update playing being the main one, and here all it's doing right now is modifying the timer. So when you're in the playing state, the timer runs, otherwise it does not. I don't have a pause button yet. That's something I'll maybe add over the next week. Let's see. So, I want to add the end game for the time being done. I might do that at the end of this class. I don't want to read a ton to you this week. But there's one thing I want to do, and there's an assignment for it, so we'll go over that in a minute. Where are we at? All right, so there's all right. Pay no attention to those. You can't see those on your end, so don't worry about it. They will be moved to another place. The methodologies assignment. This is what we'll be talking about in the book here in a second. So this first, where it says first, really, because we're doing a time runner, they're going to be linear, right? So this is kind of a remnant from an older class where I gave them more options as to what they were doing, but I came to the realization that it was easier just to kind of force them to do the same thing, so it's easier to teach, right? So the first part you don't really have to worry about because it's going to be linear, right? It's a timed runner, so what are we going to do? What you will have to do is make an annotated map of the level you're going to create, right? And what is an annotated map? Well, that's what we're about to learn. I think a couple of you are D&D players, so you know exactly what annotated maps are. If you ever bought one of those pre-created modules, there you go. And we'll talk about that in a minute. The other assignment. All right, so time runner collaboration, and I just came up with this brilliant thing. All right. In our brainstorming document, I hate that little thing up there. All right, that's it right there. I think. All right, this document, right? First off, if you don't know yet, there you need to decide what that's going to be. Right? I'm not sure what the laughter is for. All right, maybe the D&D thing. Is that right? All right. Cool. Yeah, I was looking at y'all, even though I can't actually look at you. All right. But anyway, yeah, we need to figure out what your look and feel is going to be. Javon is not here, so he needs to figure that out. And some of you, Brian's not on here. Who else is not on here? I guess that's it. Yes. So Brian, why are you absent on there? I'm not sure, but anyway, The others, I know why they're absent because they're always absent. All right. So, okay, so you have your look and feel. What we need to do this week, right, is cityscape. Cool. All right. We need to look at the levels we're creating or you're planning on creating, right, and decide what the level progression is going to be, right? So who's going to do the intro level, who's going to do the hardest level, and then the levels in between. Does that make sense? Snap! Totally forgot to update that. Cool. So what I want y'all to do this week, and if you want to do it silently right now, you can. I guess if you want to chat and do it, but y'all figure out how you want to coordinate this, right? Sometime during this week, it's up to y'all, right? I'm gonna leave it up to you to organize and communicate however y'all best can do that, and figure out how to make these levels progress, right? So this is a team work assignment, right? So, and I'm going to leave it. We do have, let me see how many people are missing here. Oh, bye. Is there anybody here? All right, so the six of you, all right, yeah, the six of you are the ones that always show up, right? There are four other students who I have that are technically still in the class that we are not going to plan around them necessarily, right? So what we're going to do is y'all are the core six, right? And we're going to plan for 6 levels. If they come in at some point and want to do something, maybe I have them do a separate game. Almost, this will be the same game, but there'll be a 4-level game, and they'll have to do that. I'll make them do that, right? If one of them comes back, maybe we squeeze them in somewhere. All right. What are your thoughts on that? Bonus levels for them. Yes, that's possible. Do you think y'all can work that out, collaborate, and figure out a way of working that progression out? I mean, Javon, he has been here, so maybe if y'all can get in touch with him, right? Maybe do that. I will try. Let me make a note to contact him. So, to self contact Javon. If I could type. All right. If their levels become bonus levels, then we won't have to try as hard to squeeze them in. True. Yes. Good point. All right. Well, let me show you one thing about this, which is probably obvious, but maybe not. Right. Spawn location, right? That's where you start, right? So, and you can freely move that wherever you want to, and it will start there. So when you download this, you can do that. All right. How many of you are actually using Pro Builder in your project? You hear that? My cats are going crazy. All right, me. All right, so just
Yeah, I've used it.
all right. That's fine. So we need to make sure that. I'm trying to think. We need a way of exporting our levels that works with everybody else's, right? Let me see. I am using. First off, we probably won't all be on the same version of Unity, right? So let's go here. Where are we at? Unity version. See where I am in this document. If everybody will put their name and Unity version in here and see where we're at. It's 2019 for 9F1. 2019 for 9F1. That's good. That's kind of crazy watching it. All right. So there's a variety there. Let's see. So it looks like me and Blaine are have the most current versions. For those of you not running 2019 with Charles, wait. Is there a reason you're not running 2019 other than you just haven't updated? Just haven't updated.
For me, it's just the physics are different. So when you watch YouTube tutorials, none of the physics work.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that for because of your car stuff, or is that due to?
Well, no, I've been making other projects too. Just trying to learn stuff as I go. But
yeah,
it says in a lot of the videos you have to use that version. I could certainly upgrade it. It's not that big a deal.
Yeah, I mean the good thing about the hub is that you can go back and forth as long as your computer can, as long as you have enough hard drive space to install them all. Yeah. I would like to see. So I'm pretty sure the one I have is a long-term support thing, and I would only suggest installing those. So if everybody could install the 4.9F1, that would be great. Now, with these exports, it may work anyway back and forth if we're just exporting the levels and not, whole projects. But we might run into issues if we don't make them coincide. So, is it possible to port my current project 2019 because I have that downloaded? Yeah, you can always. I would back up the project and make a copy of it and then open it in 2019 just in case. Because you can always open an older project in a new Unity. It's just going to re-import the assets, and sometimes it can break stuff. That's why you back it up. Does that make that makes sense? So I thought that was the version that ran the character controller. Well, we went with a simpler character controller so that we could run it in the new version. It's very the character controller we're using now is very slim, right? If you look at it, these are the two. There's only two files. This is the movement here, and this is the look. That's all it is, right? It's very. I don't think there's anything else. Let me see. Well, there's some components, I guess, yeah. But the core of it is the movement and the look. They do have a crouch, I guess. So that gets a little ground check, jump, zoom. So there's a few more things. But it's much smaller than the Unity one. All right. Are those files in the shared drive? Those files are in the project that I shared, so they're in this thing here. This is the shared code. This is stuff I wrote, right? So, but that project is actually here, and that's the link that's in Moodle currently. All right. Okay, where was I going with that? All right. So, let me think. Well, let me go through the book, just briefly hit the book stuff, and so you know what that assignment is, and then we'll come back to this, the sharing of levels issue, right? And what I might have to do is experiment with that in myself by myself and get the process to where I want it, and then maybe create a video and show you how to do it. All right. But anyway, let's go through the book and then we'll move on from there. All right. So we went through the structure last week, right? Linear, semi-linear, non-linear, right? And the advantages and disadvantages of all those. All right. Methodologies, right? What is a methodology anyway? In general, when we say methodology, what are we talking about? What's the root word there? The way you approach something. That's a pretty good definition. Any others? I would say something. It's the way you go about doing something, right? Go about. The steps you take, right? Tools you use, and methodologies tend to become written down. There's stuff that you do over and over again the same way, right? Why might you want to do that? Why might you want to do these things the same way every time, or at least have a set way of going about something? Consistency, yes. Consistency. Consistency leads to less errors, right? Once you figured out a good way of going about something, there's no reason to necessarily do it. You don't. The classic line is, you don't remake the wheel, right? The wheel works, and why rebuild it, right? This is why we do postmortems, right, in game development and software development in general. Postmortems are there to help you improve your methodologies, right, and the way you go about doing your work. And so you do all this stuff, and you make errors, and you screw things up, and at the end of it, you can look at it all and say, "Hey, this went right, this went wrong. What can we do to improve it next time?" Right? But generally, unless it all went wrong, you don't change all your methodologies. Methodologies are just ways of going about things. Right? So when we talk about level design and methodologies of level design, there are certain tools that people have used over the years that have come in handy, and those are the ones we're going to talk about. As he says here, this part of the book will not attempt to be a detailed listing of all possible level design methods, but will rather focus on a number of general methodologies that may provide hints on how to proceed in other unique cases. Just trying to give you examples of various approaches that a level designer can adopt. All right. And the first one he uses, because it's so popular, it's called Annotated Maps, right? And instead, there's already at least a couple of you who are familiar with these because you've played role-playing games, tabletop role-playing games. It's a method widely used throughout the game industry, where the level design is described through a gameplay breakdown of all the physical spaces in the level. This is often done by creating a map on paper, providing a legend and numbers that indicate the rooms or other gameplay areas. This can be extremely effective, as it allows not only the level designer but also other team members to retrieve useful data from the level design document. And they have an example of annotated level design from Stolen, level 4. All right. So here's the following example. Details a section of a level heavily weighted for stealth gameplay made for the game Stolen. The game's player character Anya needs to traverse a heavily guarded area without being spotted, as shown in Figure 4.3. Right, so here's the level design detail, right? Satellite array level. Oops. And here are the annotations for the map, right? 0, 2, lower compound, links to 3 and 1. Right, so in here, this is 2, and it links to 3 and 1, right? Anya will be in an outside area where she can clearly see the building that houses the cable docking bay. The player has to approach the cable car dock without being spotted using stealth mechanics. A route is available via the roofs of several trucks and a number of poles, but the final jump cannot be made. In order to finalize the route, the player needs to get near a forklift truck and raise its forks that are holding a pallet. After this, the player will be able to get on the roof of the docking bay and enter through a vent. Several guards patrol in key positions. The guards are annotated as G here. Anya can get to the main entrance of the docking bay by... I'm going to do something real quick. 1 second. This will make it easier. So there we go. Now I can switch between that. I thought I could. Guess not. There we go. All right. Now I can put this over here. That, get rid of this for a second. I didn't want you to do that. All right, that's easier. All right. Anya can get to the main entrance of the docking bay by evading the guards and sticking to the shadows, but there will be no way in from the ground floor. An alternative route takes her around the edge of the compound. She has to evade the guards by patrolling and somehow get past a guard at the checkpoint of the area. Docking bay, which is 3 here. The player finds the cable car inside, but is not reachable from the ground. A little tower building gives access to it, but it is locked. The gantry connects with the cable car, but is too high to be reached. This is the destination in this area. A ledge routed along the walls of the room leads the player to a vent system high up and can be reached by a ledge jump. Eventually, the player lands on top of the gantry that triggers a real-time cutscene. Right, the guards holding her equipment leave the building to board the cable car. Anya quickly jumps on top of it to stay out of sight. The cable car starts to move up towards the mountain. As you can see, the method can become quite involved. A very large amount of gameplay information is recorded in a useful manner. Other people than the level designers can also benefit. Take the following edition of information for game area 02. It is meant to provide notes on required game assets or other related information useful to other members of the development team. So special assets needed, notes, code, interactive objects, other. Forklift truck needs to have operable forklift. 2 different collision states are needed. Art, general forklift model, special none, so forth, right? All right. Sorry about the background noise. Don't know what to do about that. All right, so that is the annotated map. And your assignment for this week is to create one for your level that you're creating. And I want you to do this in Google Drawings. Where is it? There we go. So create a detailed annotated map for the level you're doing. Share it with me and put a link in this assignment to your Google Drawing, right? Are the questions about that assignment? Because I know there was a lot going on here. Questions about annotated maps, because I know that may have been confusing. All right.
I have one question. Yeah, I mean, I
Okay.
know that's very detailed. I mean, our games are not like that. So, I mean, like, how do you want that? Like, do you just want like block here, block here, block? You know what I mean? Like that detailed, or
We have ours is a timed runner, right? And I think we came up with some. This goes back to our brainstorm, right? What we need to do now is figure out. Let's go to our brainstorm document, right? Pitfalls, right? We talked about obstacles, right? Collectibles, speed boost, right? F1, death. All right, so we need to go through here. We need to come up with the things that we need to add that we don't have yet, right? Other than platforms. And so if you had a pit where they died, that would be in your annotated map, right? If you had moving platforms, that would be in your map. Let's see, what else? I'm taking suggestions right now. So if you have something looking through this that I'm missing, right? So pitfalls, dead ends, right? That would be something, right? That you would put in there. Sand, right? Things that slow your moving speed, right? Obstacles, speed boost, collectibles. I'm not sure. Did we talk about if we wanted collectibles, right? Let's see. Let's start. We need a list of. Let's see. Must have. Like to have. Dream list, right? Maze dead ends be simple, so I say we have to have that. Feel free to disagree with anything I do here. Right? Pitfall seems pretty easy. Right. And feel free to jump in and if you have a pet thing that you want in there, make sure you tell me, right? Obstacles, that kind of goes without saying, I think. But, is this answering your question, Charles? I don't know. Was it an answer? I didn't hear it. Did that answer your question at all, or are you still wondering what the hell I'm talking about? Did you go get a snack? This is the joy of the online learning thing. All right. You still there, Charles? All right. Um, all right. Any thoughts from the gallery here? My game
I
is
mean,
more.
oh, sorry. I'll wait.
I was just reading Jacob's comment. All right, my game is more like a parkour jumping game right now. Do I need to change it more of a running with obstacles? Um, not necessarily. I mean, in parkour, isn't the obstacle the open chasm underneath you? I mean, it isn't. They're just. It's just a different sort of obstacle, right? I mean, how many of you are creating more of a parkour thing than? I mean, to me, there's it's just a. Do y'all see a huge difference there? I mean, I don't. Maybe I'm missing something. So you can create parkour. Just you will. Let me think. The thing we need to think about, though, right, is having. I'm creating a bit of a parkour. I was thinking of a bit of a maze. Nothing too difficult, but you may get better time if you take shortcuts. Okay, that's fine. In your map, if you have possible shortcuts, right? Are you planning the shortcuts, or are you thinking these are things that people are going to find on their own that you didn't plan? Charles, you were about to say something. I cut you off. What were you about to say?
Mine was the same question as Jacob. Like mine's kind of like the parkour game. Like you get higher and higher, but like the blocks you have to jump on. And,
Okay.
I was just thinking about like the map. Yeah, because I could like show you exactly like how it climbs up and up. But I was thinking like since you were saying like how it's like maze and dead ends. I don't have any dead ends, but I mean I know exactly how it goes. So I was just thinking like map layout.
Um, I don't think the dead ends is necessarily something you have to have, or have a maze necessarily, right? I mean, I think each level can present different sort of challenges, right? Things that I think if we're going to have each level needs to have, like if you're going to have collectibles, for instance, right? I don't think you should have collectibles on one level and not on the other level. Does that make sense? I mean, I think that it's a kind of an inconsistency that I think we need to, if we're going to have collectibles, we need to decide what they are, and it should be the same sort of collectible in every level, right? So there's an internal economy and the consistency between the levels. And I mean, I think the collectibles probably should be there because it could lend that consistency between them, right? There's something that ties them together. Um, and maybe it should be theme based. I don't know. You know, we talked about this being like a space kind of, well, stealing Star Wars. We'll call it the War Stars or something. But kind of stealing the multiple planets idea from Star Wars or whatever space saga you want to steal from. But I mean, the collectibles I should think would be themed that way, right? So we probably need to, you know, what will they be, right? And if y'all have any ideas on what that might be, then the sooner we can get that, the better. Galaxy tokens. I mean, that's a good idea, right? So I'll throw that out there, right? Tokens. if anybody else have any ideas, you can feel free to type them in there. I'm not in love with typing necessarily. Metals, that's fair too, right? Metals. Anything else? I mean, what? I don't know. Metals sometimes have a connotation of a final reward kind of thing. So I don't, keys to open doors. That's definitely a possibility. And I mean, there could be more than one collectible as well, right? So, and some of these collectibles could be must-haves, and some I put collectibles under must-have, but you know, all collectibles are not made the same. So, what do y'all think?
I can make the speed boost and the trap that slows you down pretty easily right now because of the whole thing I set up for my respawn.
Okay.
You know.
Boost, slow down. Let's put your name on it real quick. All right. So you already have that in place?
With my respawn script, all I would need to do is duplicate it and then change what it does when you enter, pretty much. I mean,
Okay. That'll work.
Maybe we should make a shared folder we can all access. Because I have a bunch of sky scripts or sky boxes I could share too.
All right.
And there's 3 or 4 futuristic, like space ones on there too.
This folder is shared. I can subdivide it into different categories. Tell me what you want. So.
Oh no, that's fine. As long as we can all upload to it, that's fine.
Well, I mean, I think we should have. I'm going to create several different things here, right? So,
Okay.
And let's see, audio, and let's see, what else should we have? Y'all think for me because I'm not thinking very well on it. So, any other folders I need to put in there?
Scripts or prefabs.
That's the project code, but
okay.
Prefabs would be good.
I mean, we can just like label it. Like this one's the collectible folder. This one's for I don't know, pitfalls, stuff like that. It would be simple.
Collectibles and well, I mean, would those things fit in one of those other categories I just created, or you want to you should be able to. Let me see. Sure. What it says. Oh, that's what I need to change, right? So, I'm about to give y'all power. Don't delete stuff. All right. Because right now you can view it, you can't add anything to it. But if I make you an editor, right, you can delete stuff. Don't do that. All right. That clear? And I'm going to make the editors the people that are here right now and not those that aren't. And if such a time comes where they want to join us again, then they might I give them power too. So you all are special. And he can, yeah. Not here. Katie, definitely. Nope. Right. I think I got everybody. All right. So let me just, I'll just double check. Yep. All right. So you should all have access to those folders now. All right. Let's see. All right. Any other ideas on things that we need to have in there? So Blaine, did you already have like a pitfall, like a death zone, that sort of thing?
Yeah.
Do you have like a prefab, death zone prefab or anything?
I just made I turned a cube in Pro Builder, put an invisible material on it, and then put my respawn script on it, so I could make one. So.
All right. Just curious as to why you chose Pro Builder for that specific purpose.
I was just using it for as a object. It's worked really good.
That's
so,
cool. It just seems like,
yeah.
I mean, that's fine given that we're all using Pro Builder, I guess, but that seems like something that would be almost just simpler, just a Unity primitive, you know, it just, I mean, it's not visual really. Anyway, special, yes. Awesome. All right, so anything else that needs to be there? Do we want to do keys and doors? Because keys and doors. We want to do keys and doors, then we need a key model, right? Or maybe just a 2D kind of thing in that would rotate in the air. I don't know. And the doors, what kind of doors are we talking? Standard swinging hinge doors?
Yeah, like if you stand on the kind of like at a grocery store, when you stand in front of the door, it opens automatically.
A sliding door.
Yeah, like a sliding door, and if you don't have the key, you get access denied or
all right,
or some type of message.
Yeah,
access
cool.
denied. You need the key.
That'll work. What do y'all think about that? I mean, that lends a certain puzzle kind of thing to the game, obviously, which is Emma likes it. That's cool. I mean, it mixes parkour. I don't know. I mean, not that I play a ton of parkour games, but I mean, it's mixing the parkour with the puzzle, which could be cool, right? If you do it correctly, I guess. All right, everybody seems on board with that. That's fine. So that's something to keep in mind. Brian, have you created a door that works with a key like that?
No, I haven't.
Anybody else? I mean, I can figure it out. I just want to know if I need to figure it out before next. I'm trying to get an idea of what I need to do before next week. Um, does somebody want to? I guess we could find a token. Does anybody want to actually create a token? I mean, it doesn't need. It basically just needs to be with a cylinder, right? And with a texture. If somebody wants to make that, and hell, it could just be a disc, really, with a two-sided disc.
Are you talking about for the trigger or the key itself? You just want a simple model.
Well, actually, I was talking about the tokens, but
oh, I see. Yeah.
The key could be anything. I mean, a key is a kind of a concept more than it is a physical thing, right? I mean, it could be a key card for that matter, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, as far as the programming of it, I'll look into doing that, right? The graphical representation of it is up to y'all, right? So y'all, I want y'all to hammer out, what will these look like, right? For both of those, and for me, the medals should be like a kind of higher level collectible. I don't know what y'all think, but the token's more ubiquitous and strewn around everywhere, maybe. And the medals maybe like a harder to get item. I don't know. What do y'all think? Like maybe there's only a few medals per level, and that's kind of, maybe they're even hidden, right? But the tokens are kind of everywhere, and the medals are hidden they're like a special achievement getting all of them, maybe, hidden special achievement. So somebody would have to, create. So I'm going to add some work to the already this list here, right? I want you to come up with a list of assets and who will create them. All right. Damn, we're about out of time. Let's see. All right. Well, that's the assignment, right? And it's not. It's not ultra simple, really. So y'all will need to communicate between yourselves, right, to figure this out and to make it fair and that everybody's doing their part, right? If you have questions about that, let me know. If you need me to be part of any discussions, obviously I'm available whenever. Let's see. Work on key door code. Right?
With the key and door thing,
Yeah.
In consideration, are we still doing like a time crunch where you have to finish before the time, or are we doing less of that now? Or
I hadn't heard that we were doing anything else. That was still the idea, correct, everybody?
Okay.
I mean,
So yeah. So maybe if you. Nah, I'm not gonna add anything else to that. I don't want to confuse anything.
does the key?
Like
Does,
my take on that, like I was thinking about that the same way because like I don't know about anybody else, but like I'm a completionist. I like to get everything I possibly can before I can say I'm done with this game. So I mean, I don't know, a time crunch, would you be able to get the doors and still get good time? I don't know. You'd have to skip some stuff.
yeah, I mean that's a point, right?
Maybe we'll have it if you finish before the time, then you get a second medal or something. So one hidden in the level, and then one if you complete it before the time's up. Or I don't know. I'm just thinking.
Okay. Um. Hmm. What do y'all think about those ideas? And the whole general idea that completionists are going to be frustrated if they can't collect everything in that amount of time.
Well, the idea of having a key to unlock doors is just to steer you in a different direction from the goal. But if you set the key that's not too far away from the door, then it's not really going to cost you a lot of time. I mean, if you have it clear on the other side of the map and then you got to run to the other side of the map to get to a door, that's what's going to really sap your time. But if it's somewhere in the general vicinity, it's not going to make a huge difference in time.
I mean, that's true, yes. So, I mean, some of that will come directly into the level design itself, right? Where you place the key is that's part of level design, right? So, I think the player should have enough time to do everything. Yeah, I mean, and how much time you give them is part of the level design as well, right? So, when you're running through the level, right, you can set up a timer to time yourself and see how long it takes you to find everything, to do everything, and then you can kind of set the amount of time based on that, right? I mean, that's an option, right? And I'm not going to dictate what we do with this game. I'm going to I want to leave it up to y'all to some degree, right? I put a minute on my level and think it's plenty. But I'm assuming you don't have any collectibles or anything in it yet. I assume, but I could be wrong. No. All right. Like I said, that those details can be hammered out as we move along. All right. So, are the questions about what you have to do this week? I will work on some code for the keys and the door opening, right? You should think about when you create your annotated map that you will have pitfalls, death zones, right? Collectibles, and you can't have maze and dead ends, right? So those things you should be aware of as you create your annotated maps. All right. All right.
I got one thing to note. It
Okay.
has nothing to do with it. It's about the week. I just see the methodology assignment and the level design goals and hierarchies. Like that's the only assignments I see.
All right.
That's my note.
That's weird. You shouldn't see level design goals and hierarchy. 1 second. Let me make sure. You should see time runner collaboration. It might not be where it's supposed to be, but it should be on there. But I'm gonna move it. I'm gonna view it as a student and see what I see.
Okay, now it's refreshed. Yeah, now I can see just the two.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So it's clear. All right. So I'm gonna stop sharing there. Okay. I hope that was clear. I don't know. Like I said, I was didn't really get to the terrain and level sharing portion, right? What I will try to do before next week, right? Work on your level this week, and before next week, I will come up with a system whereby we can share our levels and incorporate them into one project. And to that end, let's try to all get up to 2019 9. What was it? 4.9 F1 or what was it? Whatever that was. 4.9 F1. Yep. If they're having issue with that, let me know. Okay. And we'll. So Brian's actually ahead of me. He's on 14 F1. No, that's 2018. Okay, so he updated. All right. So let's try to get up to 9 F1. I think that's a long-term support release, and we'll try to do that. All right.
I just wanted to mention before we go, Mr. Ribbons, I already uploaded that asset. It's a Unity asset. It's called Sky Asset. If anybody wants to use it, there's 15 different skyboxes you can use, but only pick the one you want and then delete the other 14, because when you do your build, it's going to take a long time to build. Even though you're not using them in the scene, it still wants to build them for some reason.
I got you. Oh, I see. It's in the prefabs. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had found some on the asset store, but I'll look at them.
Cool.
Oh, and Bivens, with the Death Zone thing, it doesn't matter what the object is. I was just using Pro Builder at the time, so that's what I used. As long as you have an object you can refer to as your spawn point, it's all good. I can make another prefab if you want me to.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions? Concerns? As always, I am available via email, and if we need to do a WebEx, we can do that as well. Just let me know.